Please pray with me. Gracious God, thanks for our children. Thanks that you give them such delight in the stories that we tell one another, and the stories that you tell us. Give us a heart to listen to their stories and to listen to the stories about you, Jesus. We ask this in your name, and everybody said, Amen. Good morning. Merry Christmas. And it's still Christmas. Those of you who are going like, what's the date? No, 12 days of Christmas. It's still going. All right? Keep it going. People look at you like you're insane if you say Merry Christmas starting on like the 26th. Right? But it's okay. There's 12 days of Christmas. Keep it going. Keep this Christmas thing going. So, quick question. Who amongst you has a friend or like an acquaintance or maybe a coworker, a neighbor, and they're that kind of person who they always have a unique story to tell? Does anybody know one of these people? Right? Like maybe they've been to places you've never heard of, or they're always the one that meets like the really interesting people. Like you've got like those 3 or 4 friends, and they're different from each other, but there's a lot of similarities. And then there's, you know who I'm talking about, right? Or maybe it's you. Maybe you are that like interesting, always marches to the beat of a different drummer kind of friend. Well, with that in mind, sort of that kind of friend in mind, sort of slightly different. Welcome to the Gospel of John. All right? Our reading from John's Gospel this morning is from the very, very beginning of John's account of the life of Jesus. And right off the bat, we can see that John's doing something really, really different here. Like Matthew's Gospel starts off with a genealogy. So-and-so had so-and-so, had so-and-so, and all the way through. Mark's Gospel begins with stories about John the Baptist. Luke's Gospel starts mentioning like the kings and the high priests of the time of Jesus' birth. And then there's John's Gospel, who just goes sort of cosmic with, in the beginning, right? Like this sort of like, what are you doing here, John? But it's not just the beginning that's different, because Matthew, Mark, and Luke all have these wonderful stories that Jesus tells about the kingdom of God. We call them parables. Did you know that John's Gospel doesn't have a single parable in it? Plus, some of the most dramatic events, or at least one of the most dramatic events in the life of Jesus, is his transfiguration, right up on the mountain, right, where he's like starts glowing white, and Peter, James, and John are there, and God proclaims, "This is my son." Matthew, Mark, Luke, all talk about it. John, it's not even mentioned. We live in a world where like Christians are divided on pretty much every issue, but there's one thing that unites us, as in like something that almost every Christian community believes, that we should break bread and drink wine together. But John does not bring up communion or the Eucharist at all, even though Matthew, Mark, and Luke feature it prominently. Jesus doesn't cast out any demons in the book of John. He doesn't experience any of the temptations that the other Gospels feature. But there are some things that happen only in John's Gospel. On the Thursday of Holy Week, we gather here, and Christians around the world kneel in front of each other and wash each other's feet. Why? Because Jesus did it to his followers and commanded us to do the same. And that only happens in John's Gospel. John speaking with the Samaritan woman at the well, only in John's Gospel. Jesus changing water into wine. Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead, only in John's Gospel, exclusive to John. But it's those 3 words at the beginning of John's Gospel. In the beginning. And these words really need to clue us in that something really rather amazing is going on here. So when you hear those words, in the beginning, what do you think of? Go ahead. In the beginning, Genesis. Thank you. Somebody said it. All right? Right? And like when we think of Genesis, the first 3 words of the Hebrew Scriptures, in the beginning. And in what follows is the Genesis creation poem. And it speaks of everything being created in 7 days. So, Aran, are you suggesting that just because John and Genesis start with in the beginning, that there's also some other similarities between these 2 books? Like maybe the number 7 might be featured prominently? Well, let's look at it here. Because John's chapter 1 has in the beginning So maybe let's keep reading and be on the lookout. Are there anything that's going to happen for the first time? We don't have to get very far, because in John chapter 2, Jesus arrives at Cana in Galilee, where a wedding is taking place. And you all know the story, right? They have run out of wine, right? Jesus tells the servants to fill up some stone jars with water. By the time the water reaches the master of the banquet, the water has been turned into wine. And in verse 11, it says this: what Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory. So now we have in the beginning, and we have the first sign. Well, could there possibly be any more? Yeah, in John chapter 4, Jesus again comes to Cana in Galilee, and a royal official tells him that his son is sick and dying. And Jesus tells him, your son will live. And by the time that man gets home, his son is alive and well. And in verse 54, it says this: this was the second sign that Jesus performed after coming from Judea to Galilee. Okay, so now it's getting a little weird, right? John chapter 1, in the beginning. John chapter 2, the first sign, water into wine. John chapter 4, the second sign, a healing of an official son. Like, this can't keep happening, right? John chapter 5, the third sign. Jesus heals a paralyzed man lying in the pool of Bethesda. Tells him, pick up your mat and walk. John chapter 6, the fourth sign. A young boy has 5 small barley loaves, 2 fish. You've heard of this one? Jesus feeds the 5,000 with that, with all the people that are gathered there. Later in John chapter 6, the fifth sign. Jesus tells his disciples, don't be afraid, as he walks to them on the water. John chapter 9, the sixth sign. Jesus spits on the ground, makes a little bit of mud paste, wipes it on the eyes of a man born blind, and heals him. John chapter 11, the seventh sign. Jesus calls out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man is raised to life. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. And then, through the entire first half of John's Gospel, 7 signs mirroring the 7 days of creation. Now, did you hear that? All 7 signs appear in the first half of John's Gospel. Like in the first 11 chapters. But John has 21 chapters. So why did the signs suddenly stop? Well, because chapters 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 are all taking place detailing the last days, the last week of Jesus' life leading up to his execution. And then, chapter 20 is the 8th sign, the empty tomb. Now, some of you may be like, whoa, wait. 8 signs? I thought you said there were 7, nearing the 7 days. Like, how can there be 8 signs? Isn't that too many? Well, yeah, there are too many. You can't have 8 days a week, unless you're John, Paul, Ringo, or George, right? Come on, Beatles reference, right? So if there's an 8th sign, well, what do we need to do? Well, we have to start a new week. Or maybe you could say, we need to start a new creation. And that's exactly what John is trying to show us. And John's not even all that subtle about this, all right? Because at the start of chapter 20, the chapter that deals with the empty tomb and Jesus' resurrection, he starts it off by saying, early on the first day of the week. Big headline, right? John's gospel is begging us to realize that in Jesus, God is redeeming and renewing and recreating all things. Because that's how God works, making all things new, right? God changes things. Because look at what Jesus does in John's gospel. He takes this water, an everyday thing, turns it into something amazing, wine. He takes people, the royal official's son, a paralyzed man, and he heals them, and he changes them. Then he uses our stuff, like our resources, bread and fish, and he changes them so that others are supported, fed, and loved. And because he knows that this can be like really scary stuff, like step into new creation, he says over and over, do not be afraid. He invites us to see God in new ways as he opens the eyes of a blind man. And finally, he puts an end to the old ways of understanding creation. It says death does does not have the final word here. And he raises Lazarus from the grave. The old is gone and the new has come. Now, even though most everyone has moved on from Christmas already, we can be the kind of people who remind folks that the arrival of this baby Jesus means that new creation is coming. It's here. So what does all this mean? Right? Great, Aran. Signs, days, new creation. Woo. So what? Well, it's almost the end of 2019. How was this year for you? Maybe some of you have had a rough year, right? Maybe you've lost some people. Family may have been difficult. Work has suffered, right? Things have been a struggle. The Gospel of John is here to remind you that a new beginning is coming. Like those struggles, the pain, those rough patches, they will not last. And they are not the final word. Like if you know what I'm talking about, then you are ready to step into new creation. So pray for that. I invite you. Let God know that you are ready to step into a new day, a new week, a new year of creation. Now perhaps for others of you, you're doing pretty well. Like life is good, right? Family's good, you're healthy, work's going pretty well. Well, the Gospel of John is here to remind you that at one point you were suffering, you were having a rough time, you were going through those pains and struggles. And God was there. And there were others there to help you through those times. So I invite you to pray as well. Pray to see God in new ways and for God to show you that you're ready to be a part of that new creation for others, for the benefit of your neighbors. Because it is still Christmas, folks, all right? So let's continue to show the world this gift of new creation as we love one another as God loves us. Amen.
Amen.